New TV channels by 1990 has been awarded by the Independent Broadcasting Authority. It chose a consortium called British Satellite Broadcasting, BSB, over four main rivals. BSB includes the television companies Granada and Anglia, the electronics group Amstrad, the entertainment chain Virgin, and the publishers Pearson Longman. 4 services, financed by both advertising and subscriptions, are planned. A 24-hour news service called Now will involve ITN. Screen will show feature films. Zigzag will show cartoons and wildlife films on the Screen channel during the daytime. And there'll be an entertainment channel called Galaxy with game shows and soap operas. Our business correspondent Nicholas Owen reports.
The transmitter mast, the very symbol of the early days of television broadcasting. And the tall transmitters still beam the vast majority of programmes watched by millions at home on the 4 main channels. But satellites now play a vital role in the way some of those programmes we see are put together. For 30 years, it's been taken for granted that major events around the world will be covered on television.
And I'm now in the middle of a road in Port Said.
But the film shot here during the Suez Crisis took many hours to be taken physically back to London to be shown to British viewers.
The bad news hit the newsroom of the Johannesburg Star at mid-morning.
Nowadays, news like the latest developments in South Africa gets to base within a very short time, or can even be shown live, with the material beamed via satellite across the globe.
That would see them in jail if they got them wrong.
In future, by taking that sort of technology to change the way pictures at home will be received, DBS, direct broadcasting by satellite, will open up a wide new range of TV possibilities. Instead of the old roof aerials, dishes will be needed to receive the pictures. As technology advances, so the size of those dishes has been coming down, and this will be closer to the final dimensions required for DBS viewing. DBS works like this. A high-powered satellite will be launched in a geostationary orbit, keeping pace with the Earth's revolution, so staying over the same point, in fact at a height of over 20,000 miles above Brazil. The signal from the DBS station in Britain will be sent to the satellite and then beamed direct back to the viewers. The signal, the footprint, will cover both Britain and some of the rest of Northern Europe. Individual satellite dishes mounted on roofs or in gardens will receive the signals from space, and the price for those dishes is expected to come down to around a couple of £100.
At the moment, the television transmitter that people are watching us on has a power which at the most gives us a range of around 50 miles. Here we're talking about a transmitter that gives you the whole of the United Kingdom and a quarter of the continent as well. So it's a very economic way in the long term of getting the pictures to people.
At the Independent Broadcasting Authority, who'd taken over the awarding of the DBS franchise, the winning group was announced and much optimism declared.
I'm pleased to be able to tell you this afternoon that we're well on target for Britain to provide the first national, privately financed DBS service in the world, with all the opportunities that this will offer to business enterprise, programme making and the electronics industry, with the possibility of up to 25,000 new jobs over the next 5 years.
However, giving us even more TV channels from 1990 onwards has been a long time coming. There's been almost a decade of fluctuating enthusiasm. In 1977, the UK was allotted 5 DBS channels by international agreement. By the spring of '82, the BBC was told it could have 2 of those channels, and said it hoped to be on the air by the end of this year, 1986. By the end of '83, though, the BBC, worried about the high cost, began discussing cooperation with the IBA, the Independent Broadcasting Authority. But in the middle of last year, the BBC decided it was all too expensive and dropped out of bidding for DBS channels. That left the independents under the IBA as interested parties. By this spring, the government, keen that the information technology revolution shouldn't flag and worried that people were being frightened off by the expense, relaxed the rules. The franchise period was extended from 10 to 15 years, and the winning contractor could use a foreign satellite, not just a British one. The winning consortium is sure the future's rosy.
We're going to achieve 500,000 people looking at our programmes in the first year, 4 million by year 4, 8 million by year 8, and I believe by the end of the 15-year franchise there will be 75% of the UK capable of receiving satellite broadcasting.
They're going to lose a lot of money in the first 5 years. They all know that. The question is how many people are going to be able to have the nerve to sit in there and hang in. It'll be 8 years, I reckon, before it starts breaking even, if they're lucky. And once again, it'll be the last 5 years that they'll make money, but when they do make money, I think they'll be making a lot of it. And it'll be those people who are still in there, or who have come in there in those last period that really make the money.
Here's how BSB presents itself: light entertainment, films and 24-hour news, with emphasis on the international flavour, financed by a mixture of advertising and a £10 a month subscription for the film channel. It must be said the cable revolution in TV never really happened. The next few years will see if the satellite age really takes off.
Nicholas Owen.
Lord THOMSON of Monifieth, the chairman of the IBA, called it the third age of broadcasting. A consortium called British Satellite Broadcasting has been awarded the franchise to set up 4 new television channels. Programmes will be beamed direct to the public via a satellite 22,000 miles above the equator. BSB was formed by Granada TV, Anglia TV, Virgin, Amstrad and the publishers Pearson. ITN will play a major role on one of their channels. About 25,000 jobs will be created over the next 5 years, mostly in manufacturing and selling the equipment people will need to receive the channels. They'll be on the air in 1990. BSB will offer its viewers 4 services. There'll be a channel called Now, which will provide live news, events and happenings 24 hours a day, and ITN will be its major contributor. There'll be a screen channel, and this will show feature films for a subscription of £2.50 a week. Programmes on Zigzag will be for children and the whole family watching during the day. And on Galaxy there'll be light entertainment with soap operas, quizzes and game shows.
This is the face of British satellite television as presented by the winning bidders. The IBA chairman gave his reasons for the decision.
One group has emerged which we believe contains the reality of the present with the vision of the future. The IBA has accordingly, this afternoon, offered the contract to British Satellite Broadcasting, BSB.
There were 5 main contenders. The winner, British Satellite Broadcasting, is a consortium backed by big names. Granada Television, one of the big 5 ITV companies with a strong record in drama and documentaries. Anglia, highly respected for quality programmes like Survival. Virgin, led by entrepreneur Richard Branson. Amstrad, who pioneered the cheap computer and hoped to do the same with satellite dishes. And Pearson, the publishing group. The 24 Hours Now channel will have a substantial input of news and live events from ITN. It will be based on a project called Operation World Watch, which monitored worldwide what news, sports and current events could be available to the channel. Here's a taste of that.
The Now channel will be a massive lump of indigenous British programming, building on one of the greatest strengths, we believe, of the ITV system, which is ITN. It will be unique, and it will be produced in Britain for Britain. It will be a 24-hour service. That's a pretty good start.
For the viewer sitting at home or the viewer in the office, the Now channel will be a way of being plugged into a kind of cosmic high street, and you can be certain that if you stay with the Now channel long enough, you're going to bump into the most interesting people in the world that day.
It was the Queen's coronation that first led to a mass switch on by a public who crowded round to watch the single black and white channel. The introduction of ITV, followed by Telstar, the first ever satellite to beam television from space.
It looks like a face. It's a face.
And then colour television made the box part of the furniture in most living rooms. Today's announcement takes TV into the space age and doubles the viewer's choice. The IBA's Director General is optimistic about the future.
We hope the viewers will get what they want, and I'm sure BSB hope they do, because they've put in a large upfront investment and their entrepreneurial skills are going to be tested, but we've got every confidence that they're going to win through.
The new channels will be broadcast via a satellite high above the equator. Viewers will need a satellite dish. They now seem very expensive, but then so did colour televisions. When colour television was introduced in 1969, a 19-inch set cost £255, then 8 weeks' average wages. By 1986, the nearest equivalent cost £210, now 1 week's average wage. In 1979, the video to go with the set was £700, then about 8 weeks' wages, while today it's about £450, 2.5 weeks' average earnings. Similarly with satellite dishes, now they cost about £1,400, 7 weeks' average money. By the time the satellite service begins, it's predicted they'll be down to £200, a week's work at today's average rates, while some manufacturers believe they could soon come down to as little as £99, half a week's earnings. It's not expected that satellites will soon take over completely from conventional broadcasting. Too much money's already been invested in that. Even so, BSB believe that within the 15 years their agreement runs, 3/4 of Britain's homes will be able to receive satellite television. Sarah Cullen, News at 10, Central London.
In South Africa,